Pro golfer Phil Mickelson may not be the only resident teed off about taxes in California. The state's recent tax hikes could also drive out thousands of working-class residents. Doing this now is someone who moved from California to Texas about a year and a half ago. Chuck DeVore is a former California state assemblyman. He's author of the book, The Texas Model, Prosperity in the Lone Star State and Lessons for America. And Chuck joins us this morning. Chuck, nice to see you.
Great to be back.
So let's talk about Phil off the top here to explain to people what happened. He was talking about the burdensome tax rate in California, and then he kind of went out on Twitter and apologized and said, I'm not going to talk much more about it. No one needs their sports guys complaining. But beyond that, at the heart of this is the burdensome tax rate in that country. And it is a major problem, so much so that you had to leave the state.
Well, what's happening in California is the cumulative effect of high taxes, burdensome regulations, and a bad lawsuit climate. And the bigger story isn't just Phil Mickelson or someone like Tiger Woods, who used to live in my old state assembly district until he took off for Florida, which has no income tax at all.
Right.
The bigger issue isn't the pro golfers. They're kind of like the symptom or the canary in the coal mine. The much bigger issue is the tens of thousands of entrepreneurs, small business owners, hardworking folks who leave California and often end up in places like Texas where there's no income tax.
My father-in-law runs a large landscaping company in California. I have other family members who live in California and work there. San Jose, and as an example of burdensome regulation, trying to build a patio onto their restaurant in downtown San Jose, build the patio, then a regulator comes and sees it and says, this needs to be over 2 inches, and they have to eat the cost, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They don't do it. They want to move their business out of that state.
It's absolutely correct. In fact, regulations are a huge issue in California. Let me give you 2 examples. Land use regulations serve to make it so that the person who wants to just build a strip mall typically takes about 4 to 5 years to get permission to build that piece of property in California. In Texas, it takes about 4 to 5 months to get permission. It was so bad that when I was in the legislature a few years back, we had a bill that passed that sought to look at the costs of regulation on small business in the state of California. And when the answer came back a couple of years later, it was so embarrassing that former Governor Schwarzenegger didn't want to publish it, and we had to force the report out. Well, the total cost per small business, compliance costs for regulations, are about $134,000 per year in the state of California.
No wonder people don't want to open businesses and start businesses there in California. I want to know, though, what is Texas doing right that California is not? Let's put up some statistics here on the screen. The poverty rate in Texas, 16.5% versus California, 23%. Unemployment in Texas, 6.2%. Remember, during the election, we were talking about Texas as a model for the nation. What were they doing right? California, 9%. Income tax rate, none. California, one of the highest in the country. Corporate tax rate, none. California has a flat rate of 8.8%. So are those 4 categories what Texas is doing right, or is there something else?
Well, yes, it goes not only to the tax rate, but what do you do with all that tax money? If you look at the state and local level, California government consumes about 33% more of the economy than it does in Texas at the state and local level. And when you have bigger government, it doesn't just lead to more taxes, it leads to more regulations. Government is a bigger part of people's lives in the state of California. And this is reflected with this massive out-migration, this domestic out-migration of people leaving the state of California, about 2 million in the last 10 years. 2 million more Americans left California than moved into California in the last 10 years. And of course, I was one of them. And one of the things that you see is the impact of these tax rates on business activity. One of the things that happened in the last couple of years that people don't realize is that California put into effect the biggest tax increase in U.S. history at the state level in February of 2009, but it was temporary. And when that tax expired in early 2011, the California job market started to recover at faster than the U.S. average for those couple of years during the lower taxes. But what people don't realize is in 2009, when they had the higher taxes, California was losing jobs at almost 3 times the U.S. average. About 100,000 extra jobs were lost because of those high taxes in 2009.
Chuck DeVore is the author of the book, The Texas Model, Prosperity in the Lone Star State and Lessons for America. Knows what he's talking about. Chuck, great to see you this morning.